From desert to desert, the global journey of the watermelon, the Kalahari Desert, present day. Fade in, sweeping aerial shots of the Kalahari Desert at dawn. Golden sand dunes stretch endlessly. Camera slowly descends to ground level. In the heart of southern Africa, where temperatures soar past 40 degrees Celsius and rainfall is scarce, something remarkable grows in the sand. Camera finds a wild watermelon vine with small bitter fruit sprawling across the desert floor. This is where our story begins, not with the sweet red-fleshed fruit we know today, but with its wild ancestor, the summer melon. For thousands of years, this hardy plant has been a lifeline in one of Earth's harshest environments. Close-up of a sandbushman elder, Kjosai, 67, cutting open a wild watermelon. My grandfather's grandfather knew this plant. When the waterholes dry up, the earth gives us this gift. The flesh is bitter, yes, but it carries water. It keeps us alive. The watermelon, Citrullus lanitus, evolved here, in the semi-arid regions spanning from southern Africa to Sudan. But it wasn't always the sweet summer treat we crave today. Ancient Egypt, 5,000 years ago. Around 5,000 years ago, watermelons began their first great journey. Ancient Egyptians discovered these desert survivors and recognized their potential. In tomb paintings, we see them alongside other precious offerings for the afterlife. Seeds excavated from Egyptian tombs tell us that by 2000 BCE, watermelons were being cultivated along the Nile. But here's what's fascinating. They weren't primarily grown for food. They were grown for water. In ancient Egypt, watermelons were like nature's water bottles. The fruit is 92% water, and unlike the Nile, which could be contaminated, watermelon water was safe, sealed, and portable. The Silk Road, 1000 CE. As empires rose and fell, the watermelon traveled east along ancient trade routes. By the 10th century, it had reached China, where something extraordinary happened. Today, China produces more watermelons than any other nation, 60% of the world's supply. But this wasn't conquest through invasion. This was conquest through cultivation. Chinese farmers saw potential in this African fruit. They began selective breeding, choosing the sweetest, reddest varieties. Over centuries, they transformed a bitter survival food into a delicacy. What we eat today, that's largely the result of Chinese innovation. Meanwhile, watermelons were spreading through Persia, across the Mediterranean, and into India. Wherever it went, local cultures adapted it, creating new varieties, new traditions. The Moorish influence, Spain, 13th century. When Moorish traders brought watermelons to Spain, the Spanish language gained a new word, sandia, derived from the Arabic sind. The fruit flourished in Andalusia's warm climate. But it would take another journey, across an ocean, for the watermelon to truly become global. The New World colonial trade, 16th century. In the 1500s, Spanish colonizers loaded their ships with seeds, livestock, and watermelons. They were headed for what they called the New World. Within decades, watermelons were growing in the Caribbean, Mexico, and what would become the American South. But this chapter of the watermelon story is complicated and painful. The American South, 18th and 19th century. African slaves, forcibly brought to America, recognized the watermelon. It reminded them of home. They cultivated it, improved it, and created a culinary tradition around it. Dr. Jessica Harris, food historian, on camera. Watermelon became deeply embedded in African American culture. It was something enslaved people could grow in their own small gardens. It was a connection to Africa, a source of nutrition, and later, after emancipation, a symbol of self-sufficiency. But after the Civil War, white supremacists weaponized the watermelon in racist propaganda, trying to portray Black Americans as lazy or simple. They took something beautiful and turned it into a stereotype. Yet despite this painful history, watermelon remained beloved, because a fruit's meaning isn't determined by those who would demean it, but by those who cultivate, celebrate, and share it. American innovation, early 20th century. By the 1900s, American farmers were developing new varieties. In 1940, one variety changed everything, the Charleston Gray. Charleston Gray was disease-resistant, large, and perfect for shipping. This made commercial watermelon farming viable on a massive scale. Suddenly, watermelons could travel from Florida to New York without spoiling. Global modern era, the seedless revolution, 1990s present. In the 1990s, Japanese scientists perfected seedless watermelons using chromosome manipulation. It wasn't genetic modification. It was creative breeding. We created triploid watermelons. They have 3 sets of chromosomes instead of 2. This makes them seedless. Western markets loved them, though many traditional growers thought we were crazy. Japan also gave us square watermelons, grown in boxes to save space, and yellowed-fleshed varieties. Watermelon breeding became an art form. Global distribution today. Today, watermelons are grown on every continent except Antarctica. Over 100 countries produce them commercially, from African street vendors to Tokyo luxury fruit boutiques. The watermelon has found its place everywhere. Global production, 100 million tons annually. China alone grows 60 million tons. Turkey, Iran, Brazil, and the United States round out the top 5. Modern agriculture and sustainability. But modern production comes with costs. Industrial farming uses tremendous water. Ironic for a fruit that evolved in the desert. Pesticides. Transportation emissions. Plastic waste from packaging. The global watermelon trade has an environmental footprint. We're trying to get back to basics. Regenerative agriculture. Local distribution, heritage varieties. The watermelon survived in the Kalahari for thousands of years without chemicals. We can learn from that. Cultural celebrations. Yet wherever it grows, watermelon brings joy. In China, it's the centerpiece of summer gatherings. In the American South, it's backyard barbecues and seed-spitting contests. In the Mediterranean, it's paired with feta cheese. In Japan, it's a premium gift, full circle, return to Africa. And in Africa, where it all began, the watermelon is coming home in new ways. Commercial farming is growing across the continent. My grandmother knew wild melons. Now I export sweet watermelons to Europe. It's the same plant, thousands of years later. But now it's helping build our economy. Africa gave the world this fruit. Now the world is helping us profit from it too. From a bitter desert survivor to a global icon of summer, the watermelon's journey is humanity's journey. It's a story of adaptation, innovation, cultural exchange, and sometimes exploitation. It's traveled through empires and trade routes, survived slavery and colonialism, and emerged as one of the world's most beloved fruits. Every time we bite into that sweet, crisp flesh, we're tasting 5,000 years of history. We're connected to African deserts, Chinese farmers, Spanish traders, and countless hands that planted, cultivated, and perfected this remarkable fruit. The watermelon traveled from African deserts to over the globe, and in doing so, it became a citizen of the world.